everyone, I'm Bonnie Krebs from Art Impressions, and I'm here at Scrapbook.com to show you our new 2020 release. So this is our watercolor release. We have 8 new watercolor sets, and for those of you who have done these projects before, you're gonna love these new ones. And guess what? You can use the stamps that you have already and incorporate them into these new projects. Super fun. And those of you who haven't done it, watch this video and I'll show you how to do this technique. It's really, really easy. It looks hard, but it's really not. And even if you've never done it before, you can be a pro at it really, really quickly. So we are going to do this birdhouse. So this is one of our newest ones. These two are brand new. This is a flower set 4, and it has these really great elements in it. We're going to use some of these in this project. And then this one, this is the large birdhouse set. It comes with 2 different ones and these little bluebirds. So also really, really fun. We're going to use some vines from our previous foliage set. This is from the original one. And the little branch from the branches set, this one right here, and put together a really fun, cute project that you can put on a card and give away. So let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is ink the basic image, and that would be this large birdhouse right here. And we're going to ink that in 2 colors. So we're going to start out with the dark brown, and we're going to ink up this whole thing with the dark brown. Use the side of your marker, and I'm using water-based markers. So these are Tombows, but you can use any water-based marker. And then I'm going to go back over it now with a dark blue. So those of you who have done this technique before, you know this color combination because we actually use it a lot. And now I'm going to just stamp it off on another sheet of paper. You can use scrap paper, or you can use the back side of your watercolor paper. And then I'm going to now just stamp it onto my watercolor paper. So I have an image that's actually pretty light. I don't want too much color on here. So now I'm going to dip my brush in water and pinch it off because I don't want this to be too wet, and it's really easy to control when you pinch it off with your fingers. And you can see how flat my brush is, and I'm just going to come in under here where this would be darker. So underneath these little, these little shingles, and I come in under there like that. And then next to these lines. So you're actually running your brush along the line, not over the top, but next to the line. And that's how the color, that's how we pull the color out of the lines. And that's what makes it look 3-dimensional. It just works. It's like magic. And inside here, these little openings, you can do that. And then as we come down this post, just right alongside. And then down in here. Okay, that's a good start. So let's go ahead and go on from here. And we're going to add some color now to the roof. And I'm going to use this really bright green. I love this color. But you could make this roof any color. So I'm just going to start by brushing this color on. And what you want to do is you want to stay in each section. So as you add the color, don't run your brush across the lines. Just stay in each section. And try to leave a little white right on the lip. So right on the edge of these little separate panels. Just leave a little white edge. Just always try not to color everything in solid. If you can leave a little white space, it's always best to do that because anything colored in solid from line to line is going to be flat. So now let's add some dark blue to the palette. And this is a great color for shadow. Move these markers out of the way here. This is a great color for shadow. So I'm going to take just a little bit of this and just color in this whole side here. And just brush in this color. And what that does is it kind of sets back these sides and brings the middle one forward. And then we're just going to really darken in the inside of these little openings, so little doors. And you can see how that just kind of pops everything out and already makes things look a little more 3-dimensional. Now I'm going to add some green to my palette and add a little more color now to the roof, just a little darker color. You know, when you use a palette, you can mix colors, and it's so much fun to do that. So if you don't have the exact color for something, you can just blend it on your palette. And I think that makes things look a little more realistic too when you have a mix of color in things. So now I'm just coming under here really dark again. And under here like this. And we are about finished with this little birdhouse with the color. So one more thing here. Let's just make a little line under these perches. You can see how that just creates a shadow and just pops that up and makes it look more three-dimensional. So let's add some background color now. So this is just a light blue, and I'm just really watering this down. So I'm getting enough water on my brush, and I'm just going to brush in some of this color into the background. And you can see I'm just kind of pushing the color around. So I'm not brushing it in like this. I'm just kind of pushing it around. Don't let your sky, you know, when you're brushing in the sky, don't let it go off your page. Try to keep it in this area, and think about it in a circle. You know, as you're doing your image, think about the image itself as a circle. And that will kind of help you control that. And I can put a little in down here. And we are ready to add our foliage. Okay, so I'm going to use the vine now, and I'm just going to ink it in the green. You can use any green. And I'm going to stamp it a few times. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'll stamp it up here. 1, 2, 3. And then over here. You know, it always kind of looks like a mess, you know, when you stamp it. So never give up at this point, you know, because you're stamping this in, and when you add the water to it, it's just going to all come together. It's just like magic. So now that I've got that stamped in, and the biggest thing about the vine is, you know, you can use different parts of it. So when you're inking this vine, you don't have to ink the whole thing. You can just ink the front, so you can use the tip or midway through, and that also changes the image. And then be sure that you're stamping it more than 2 times, 2 or 3 times, 4 times. That's always the best, because what happens when you add the water to it is the dark impression, the very first one, that comes forward, and the light fades back, and you have a 3-dimensional image. It just works. And then you're just dabbing now. So we're just adding water to that area that we just stamped. So stamp and add water. That's the whole technique. That's it. And let's add a little of this bright green in here, just kind of into the background. Just dab in a little bit of this. Kind of fun. Just kind of mixes it up a little bit. And then you can just keep blending this out. So you can take this green and just keep blending it out. The more that you do that, the softer the impression is. So if you like that really whimsical looking watercolor style, this is how to get it. Just keep blending that out. And now I'm going to come in here with the blue and really create a shadow on either side of this post, because this post is round. So we want to make sure that the sides are darker. The sides are darker than the center. Okay, so now let's add our blooms in here. And this is the fun part. So we can add our flowers. This is a brand new one from Flower Set 4. And I'm going to use 2 colors on it. So I'm going to do the bloom in the purple. And then I'm going to ink the stem in the green. And I'm just going to stamp this in here a couple of times. And then ink it up again. And maybe 3 times on that one. And then add the stem. And you could actually just stamp the bloom too, without even adding the stem. And just tuck it into the foliage. So there again, you know, the thing about using stamps is that you can use just parts of them. So now that we've stamped it, now we're adding water to it. And with these, you never want to add any water to the stems, only to the blooms. And just add a little bit of water. Make sure you've pinched your brush off, because these are tiny little lines and they don't take much water at all. But you can see how it softens it. And you know, the other thing it does is it changes the image a little bit, because we don't want it to look exactly alike. And we don't want it to look like it's a stamp. We want it to look like it's a painting. So these are also in that flower set 4. These are just little buds, and they're just so cute. And you can just stamp them in here like this. And they go both directions. So there's one that goes to the right, one that goes to the left. And then we'll do the little blooms. And let's put another one in here. So you can do as much of this as you want. And again, with these, you're only just going to touch that little bloom. You're not going to do anything to the stem. And then let's add some more detail in here. This is that little branch. I just love this little guy. It just adds a lot. So let's just stamp this one in here, maybe like that. Just kind of wherever. And maybe another one up here. And a couple more details. Let's put a bird in here. Now these are really fun to do, but you want to keep these very, very light, very light. So I'm using the brown to ink this one up, and I'm going to stamp this one off as well because I really want this light. And then we're doing the same thing. So we're pulling the color out of the lines and then adding our color to it. So I'm just taking some of this blue from my palette and adding it to this little bird. And again, same thing about leaving a little bit of white. Don't color everything in solid. Just got to get in that habit. Okay, so one last thing to do, and that's sign and date. So always sign and date your work. Even if you stamp this 100 times, it's going to be different every time. So let's cut this out now and get it mounted onto a card. Okay, so we are ready to mount our beautiful artwork onto a card base and send it out to someone. So I have just created an A2 card here with a white base and just a decorative piece of scrapbook paper. And I'm just going to adhere it to my card base. And I picked this really bright green that I just love. And now I'm going to add my watercolor to it. And you can keep these simple. You know, the focus is on the watercolor painting, so they don't have to be super elaborate. And then I've just cut an oval out of this and sort of created a little frame here that I can put over the top and make it a little more decorative. And add my adhesive and just glue this right onto the top. There we go. And we have created a beautiful watercolor that you can send out to someone special. Try this technique if you haven't done it before. I think you're going to really love it. It's fun and it's easy and it's something you can do with your whole family. And of course, all of these new watercolor sets, as well as all of our watercolor, is available at Scrapbook.com. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to see more from Scrapbook.com, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a message. Happiness is life handmade.